Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to REZOcast episode 44. We are joined this week by two special guests. We have TheManagator. Hello, Mana.
Oh, hi.
This is Mana's third time, I think, on.
Yes, I
Yeah,
believe so.
third time's a charm. Maybe it'll be the last time. And our first time special guest, Ramblinnn. What's up,
Hey,
Ramblinnn? How are
hey,
you, man?
doing great. Thank you for asking. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. Yeah, we this week we are missing Triton. Not that that's unusual to anyone who's been here before. And Lego is doing some things, but he should be joining us in a little bit. So we're gonna get into some stuff. We still have some more, end of beta stuff to talk about. A little bit of news coming up with, the PC stuff that they announced today. And first of all, though, let's start and get to know Ram a little bit. Why don't you tell us a little bit about where you fit in the Destiny community, the kind of things you do, where you like to hang out, and kind of how you got started.
Well, I've been a beta player like since D1 beta. I started off on Xbox. Actually, I think I played PS3 beta, and that's because I was rocking what I was rocking at the time. But I made the switch to Xbox One. Just kind of did whatever the first year, and pretty much what everybody was doing. Crucible, and the Raid here and there. And eventually, when Trials came out, kind of found my niche there. I had never streamed before, but a couple buddies of mine got me into it. Told me that I was a good idea, good candidate for it. And I got to university that year. I finally had the internet to do it, so I gave it a shot. And that's pretty much where I got to where I am. It was just Trials, and I've been kind of branching out nowadays, kind of trying other things. I don't really play much Destiny right now, but
That's fair. I don't think too many of us are.
Understandable.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely. I remember. I don't do a whole lot on Twitch. I follow some people. I stop in. Most of the names that everybody knows. But I do remember when I first heard of you, because it was like on Twitter and in our Rezo chat. It was like, "Yo, this guy's doing 1v3s." I think it was on Blind Watch, and that was kind of like. I had never heard of you, and all of a sudden you had it was like 900 viewers, and you were just killing it, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And it's apparently gone good for you since then, huh?
it was enough of a push. That's all I needed.
Yeah, that's you find your niche, you find what you're gonna be good at, and you go with it, and it's definitely gone well for you. So besides trials, are you mostly a PvP guy? You do a little PvE. What's your your kind of your thing?
I'll play the new content when it comes out. I'm all for that. I love what they've done with the Destiny missions and the raids and the strikes, but it doesn't have that same sense of replayability for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll give it maybe a good month or two of PvP mix, and then I'll switch over and just rock PvP only, and that's pretty much what I'll stream. I've done some raid helps, I've done some strike grinding, but it's never my preference at all.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I know that you've gotten into some sweats here and there. I believe you've beaten my ass at least once, and maybe you too, Mana.
Yeah, a couple times.
Yeah, I don't know if you remember that when Wendler decided we were gonna scrimmage against you.
I do.
Yeah, it didn't go real well for us.
The infamous match with Wendler.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's actually for anyone who doesn't know, I believe this is the command. There is actually a Wendler command in my chat now, because maybe it wasn't the Wendler command, but anyway, there was a point where we were playing on Burning Shrine, and Wendler yelled at us all to get on B repeatedly, and I took a little too long, and he was mad at me. And as soon as I got there, none other than Ramblinnn himself came in and Nova bombed all four of us. And then Wendler proceeded to yell at us some more that we should have been there earlier. And so that's kind of become a famous thing in my chat. So thanks for that, Ram. That was my first
You're welcome.
experience
Anytime.
with you.
I got you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So now that we know a little bit about Ramblinnn, why don't we get into the beta? It was the second half of the beta since the last time we recorded. We visited the farm. From what I understand, there were no Lego LaFlash-sized chickens or
Disappointed.
chicken-sized Lego LaFlashes.
Very disappointed.
Yeah.
I was expecting those to wander around,
Little
maybe
Voops.
maybe ride them like a chocobo. No, okay, maybe
Well,
that's too
now
much.
that we, originally, Mana, when that first came up, we didn't know how good fusions are going to be. So I would be even more scared of 10 chicken-sized Lego flashes with fusion rifles.
We all know how good he is and how much he loves using fusion rifles. You would be unstoppable. You wouldn't be beaten if he had a full team of Lego-sized chickens or vice versa with fusion rifles, whatever those are. I don't know. I'm not sure. But anyways, yeah, anyone with those fusion rifles, those things are just, oh, I don't want them to get touched. I don't want them to get nerfed, but they are really powerful, you know?
Oh, I agree, and I'm sure Let's we'll start a little more broad, and definitely I think fusion rifles are something I want to talk about. But now that the beta is over, we got 6 days out of it if you were a PS4 pre-order. What do you guys think?
Where do I
you go
think?
first.
I think this is a completely new game, and maybe that's not what people expected. And YouTube comments definitely won't tell you this, but it's definitely not a Destiny DLC. It's definitely not Destiny 1.5. It's Destiny 2. And at first, that was hard to get used to. It was a completely different experience. It's slower. The movement is toned down. The guns take a little longer to kill. There's not as much abilities, not as much supers, and a lot of those things are things we asked for, but it was just a completely different experience. In the first couple of days, I struggled with it. Not necessarily performing well, but enjoying it, getting some satisfaction out of it.
Yeah, like going off of what he said, like jumping right into the beta, I did not expect PvP to be like that at all. Like the Crucible, jump in, start shooting again. I'm like, wow, this is taking a little bit to kill this guy, you know? And then maybe a guy would come around the corner and at 1v2 just get obliterated. I'm just like, okay, all right, let's try this again. Go back into it. And like, you can't really 1v2 if people know how to aim in the beta, and it was really surprising. And yeah, like what Ramblinnn said, it's a brand new game. It's
Absolutely.
like it's Destiny, but with different flavoring. You know, it's really refreshing. I don't know how else do you want to put it? Yeah. It's like it's not super different, but it's not a lot the same. You know,
it's
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean that was kind of English, I think. But no, that's obviously, I think, Ram touched on the two really biggest, most noticeable things with the beta, as far as we had seen that build. Team shots, teamwork, slower time to kills, and times to kill.
Also, yes.
And far less abilities and supers, which that's one thing that I know you mentioned in your notes, Ram, which if anyone hasn't seen, he tweeted out some very detailed notes and thoughts on the beta, which were great. I mean, I agree with a lot of it. So go check that out on his Twitter. But what did you think about where they had the cooldowns for abilities and supers? Because that was one thing that I think, like you said, was asked for, but now a lot of people think maybe they did too much.
I think it's fine. I think it's something we get used to. I don't think it's necessarily a bad or a good thing that they've changed it this way. It's just different. I think with the way they toned down the grenades, it wouldn't be necessarily a problem if they like decreased the cooldowns as well from what they currently are. I just don't think that's really a necessary change. It's forcing people to be smart with their grenades, forcing them to use them in situations where they can actually make use of them and not just kind of pre-nading and hoping for the best and getting a 25-second cooldown where you can just repeatedly do that.
Right.
But in the case of supers, that's the hotter topic, the one that a lot of people are a little more adamant about. I think they actually found a pretty good balance in terms of how long you get your super. The problem is that the respawn matches, the control matches, aren't lasting long enough. They're not giving players that aren't getting many kills a chance to get one super, and the players that are getting a lot of kills aren't getting two supers. So the two are kind of clashing in the middle where you're not really being rewarded for playing well, and your team aren't seeing the benefits of your supers either. It's just a matter of you're going to get your super eventually if it's a close match, and everybody's going to use them at the same time. There's no smart use. There's no tactical use. It's just use them when you get them and hope for the best.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that was my big thing. And before I finish that off, we've just been joined by Lego Le Dongblade, which is what he likes to be called now.
You will not let it go, will you?
Huh?
No, that's your new name.
Oh my gosh.
Well, welcome, Lego. We just kind of got
Thank
through.
you.
We just kind of got started with some initial wrap up thoughts on the beta. Started with Ram's thoughts on cooldowns, on supers and whatnot. So you're here pretty early. It's good to have you. You're
just
looking
keep it
mighty
rolling,
fine.
boys.
No.
I'm here for the show just like everybody else.
No, you got to take over, man. You're the host. I can't do this. The pressure is just killing me.
You're here now, boss. Do
Yeah.
it.
Oh my gosh. Well, have I missed the first bit? Have we gotten to know Ramblinnn much since he's been here?
I didn't
Never heard
forget.
of him.
I didn't. Yeah, who? I don't know who that is. I didn't forget that part this week. Like, I swear.
Okay.
I even got the intro for you. I told them that you yelled at me, and I needed to make sure we did it.
Okay, good. So y'all just keep it going. I don't know where we're at, so y'all keep it going for now. I'll jump in a second.
But anyway, yeah, we were just talking about supers. I definitely agree with you on that. I don't want, we did ask for less supers, less ability spam, that kind of stuff, and I like it. But you're right, Ram. Like, if it's a struggle to get one super near the end of the game, and you might not even get one, that means everybody's getting them right near the end of the game. Like you said, same time, there's no strategy. If you're down, the supers don't help you come back. To me, something needs to be done with that. I still don't want them to snowball. Like, they would have to tweak it, delicately. But I definitely think that is one of the big changes that I'd like to see.
That's why I feel it's not necessarily the cooldown that's the problem. Like, it feels good in Countdown. I like that everybody gets one super.
Yeah.
Where it's round-based and you have to carefully choose which round you're going to use it in. It's just a matter of them shortening these respawn matches. I don't know what the case is going to be for Clash and Supremacy, what they're going to change there in terms of score limit, time limit. But with a 75 score limit, 8-minute match, people are getting their supers around like the 6.5 minute.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, there's no way you're getting a second one. Even if you get it, if you're racking up kills, the match is going to be over by the time you get a second one.
Yeah. Well, what would you think about this? Just kind of, this is super simple idea. It's not like I came up with it, but it just dawned on me. What would you think about, speeding up, whether it's the initial cooldown or more energy, super energy on a kill, fairly significantly, but just capping it at one super a game? Just saying you get a super per game.
That's an interesting point. What are you talking about? Like, when you use your super and you drop those orbs of light, you get like more from that, or just by like kills and all that? But once you get that super, that's it.
That's
it. Like, you have to use it
strategically,
to the best of your ability. Yeah. And then that's that.
I don't think that really accomplishes much, because the point, like, the balance of a super isn't at least in this case in Destiny 2, where the supers aren't as potent as they were in Destiny 1. There's no Stormcaller, there's no one-hit golden guns on other supers. But in this case, the supers aren't actually like a major impact. They're kind of just a change in playstyle, a different way of getting kills. They're not going to dominate the match. I think being guaranteed a super isn't really much of a gameplay element. I think it's more of a fact that you need to open up the possibility of getting a second one. You need to, it can't just be you're going to get one, because you're not really being rewarded in that case for doing well. It's just, I get mine faster, but how much does that really help if I get it faster? It's not like there's a big build you can lead that you're going to be the hold because of it, because the other team's just going to be able to bounce back with their own.
I'm really conflicted when it comes to supers and all that, especially in Control, because maybe it's because most of them were fresh, new, and I wanted to use them more just to test them out, because half the time I was whiffing them because they're much different from D1. Control, I think it's a good pace for Control. I don't want like any more than just one super, pretty much. Maybe I don't know. What do you think, Ramblinnn, about PvE? You think maybe it should be toned a little bit differently in PvE to see if we can get abilities quicker?
Yeah, I think adjusting ability cooldowns in PvE is fine. That's not going to create the disconnect that I feel. Something like, I like that the weapons are formed the same way. I like that the supers have the same method of using them. But you can make them stronger, you can make them more frequent, you can make the abilities a bigger part of the game in PvE, because I don't think the mobs of the darkness, or whatever they're called in this game, are going to be complaining.
Probably not.
That's a fair point.
Not only that, but it's just fun to use your abilities. Like, that is what kind of Destiny, like, that is the draw that makes it different from other first-person shooters, is not just like your super, but abilities as well. And honestly, like, have y'all talked about the differences between the ability cooldown and the super cooldown in PvP? Because to me, the ability cooldown seemed like all right. It was mainly like the super cooldown in Control that was really bugging me.
Yeah, we mostly the topic started off as cooldowns in general, and I think we all just kind of agreed right off the bat that ability cooldowns were pretty much okay. So we kind of
Cool.
We agree with
Yeah.
you. We kind of just skipped over those and went right to the supers. But yeah, I definitely like that. No ability spam, no grenade spam, which, Lego, I agree with you that, I'm a big proponent of the fact that supers and some of the abilities are what makes Destiny Destiny. But
Yeah.
on the flip side, you don't want that to be, it's not a first-person grenade game. It's not an FPG.
Mhm.
Is that a thing? It's not a thing.
FPG.
It was a thing in year 3.
Oh my gosh. What about with the Ramblinnn, have we talked to you at all about like the power ammo changes or not having special ammo anymore in PvP? Because that's one thing that I feel like significantly has changed. And I just this week was going through all my Destiny 1 footage to make like a farewell video, and I was like, oh my gosh, like I used special ammo so frequently to not have that and have it in the power ammo slot. It just makes Destiny 2 so different. Like what are your general thoughts on that coming into the beta?
I think we were kind of everybody was looking at it from a Destiny 1 perspective, like, wow, we're really not going to be able to use our shotguns and snipers that much anymore. It's going to be like a limited thing. But we weren't really considering the positive that having a second primary weapon that were in Destiny 1 is going to brought. It would, like, if we look at Destiny 1 and if we were kind of stuck in a situation where we only had primary weapons, the idea that we wouldn't be getting special very often is dangerous. It makes the game a little stale. It makes the game a little one track. But with them introducing a second primary weapon now, the kinetic and the energy weapons, there's a little bit of dynamic. There's a little bit of variability that allows for these now power weapons to be moved to the side where they actually are a limited use, because you're already seeing that change in gameplay between the other two weapons you have. I think they found a good balance between the three where you can kind of maintain your play up until the point power is in the game, and then you go and you play power, and then you rotate back to your other weapons, and there's a nice balance there.
That's awesome.
It's definitely been a pleasant surprise
too.
for me.
Hey, do what, Hope?
I was just saying it was definitely a pleasant surprise the way it played out for me, because, I've talked in here many times. Not that I thought that we needed to have them all the time, but, sniping again and that kind of stuff was one of the things that I really enjoyed in Destiny, and no matter how it played out, it was going to be less prevalent. How much less prevalent was up for debate, but I really did end up liking the so-called like double primary system, because it almost like makes you forget that you don't have that special weapon, because now you may spec yourself for a scout and a hand cannon, for instance, or a pulse and a hand cannon, so you have that long range.
On you at all times.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird, because I too was, loved running around with a sniper or a fusion rifle and stuff like that. And not having that power all the time. Well, I guess, year 3, you don't really have that all the time anymore, except for like Icebreaker but like it was strange. It was strange getting back into being a normal, you have to use what people call primary, and you got 2 of them now. And I don't know what that is, but I ended up liking it. A little bit.
Well, the best part is now, even if someone does tell you to use your primary, you can just tell them to suck it, because there's no such thing as primaries anymore. Like, listen, I have a kinetic and I have an energy. I don't have a primary.
This is true.
Fuck
This
off.
is true. Like, what is the primary? That's not even in the game.
Yeah, now you can literally say what's a primary and not be an asshole.
I think one thing that helps with that too is the fact that we don't have so many one-hit kill things anymore, and so having 2 primary gives those two, kinetic and energy. Having those makes them feel very diverse, instead of just feeling like, oh, that thing one-hit kill me. It doesn't feel as frustrating anymore whenever you have these 2 different weapon types to bounce off of at any time.
I feel that was one of their biggest accomplishments in D2, was eliminating all those one-hit situations, not only from a balance perspective, but just from the fact that it is frustrating. Like you were saying, it's kind of feels out of your control when you're just constantly being bombarded by abilities, by shoulder charges, by anything that really you didn't have much room to play around. It was all in the other player's hands. So now when we're limiting it to power weapons and supers, we know what to expect. We know what's going to be taking us out, and it's not as it's not as much of a guessing game in terms of, does this guy have a sticky up? Is this guy going to go run in for the shoulder charge? Who has those abilities up, who has the ability to one-hit you, and you can play around that now.
Yeah, how do you like that shoulder charge change now? I'm really digging the shoulder charge where you can get a 2 melee off now. It feels really good to me. I was curious how you felt about it.
Yeah, they kept it as a sense of like an instantaneous movement thing, but it still has a role in that it can change to make that 2 melee hit
I
instead
hate
of
it.
taking people out instantly.
You hate it, man?
It's very strong.
The last couple months in Destiny, 1, I was that guy running around
you were.
aimlessly and shoulder charging people. I was clutching because of shoulder charge.
All of your highlight videos for the last 3 months have been shoulder charges.
It was
That's
so
awesome.
fun being that maniac. And now,
It was.
when I jumped into Destiny 2 beta, I was trying to do that, and I was like, first of all, I didn't realize that when you shoulder charge someone, it takes away your melee charge.
Oh yeah.
So I was trying to go around constantly shoulder charging people. I'm like, why isn't it shoulder charging? Like, how long does it take to charge that thing? And people in chat are flaming me like, Mana, you're dumb. It takes like for the last time, it takes up your melee charge. I'm like, and then it doesn't one hit kill people, and I'm just like, I'm over it. I'm over it. I can't do this anymore. I can't be my maniac. That was the only reason why I was playing a Titan. And now
It's funny how there's a give and take now between the shoulder charge. Like you said, you lose it when you use it, but it's still, like Ramblinnn said, it's like a movement ability thing. And so whenever you don't use it like on somebody and just use it as the movement, it's kind of nice to keep it up. And so it's like a give and take. Do I want to use it as a double melee thing, or do I want to keep using it for my movement?
True.
Is it true what they say? If you don't use it, you lose it? Come on.
In this
40-year-old
case,
virgin. You guys are the worst. I'm done. I'm off the podcast. That's it. I'm
Few
done.
crickets in the background.
Yeah, come on, guys, man. Anyway,
Well,
speaking of one-hit kills, though, one thing that we started to touch on, and I didn't want to get to it just in general, would be I wanted to wait till you were here, Lego. Since we're talking about power ammo and one-hit kills, and you're, Lego, Ledong Blade, the Fusion Master.
I'm not.
Let's hear about let's talk about that a little bit.
About fusion rifles?
The
Is that what we're
main
talking about here?
ingredient.
Okay, so I have like a few. Like, first of all, I like it, and a lot of people are saying like, don't change it. This is where it should be. Everything needs to be moved up to that level. But I'm like, I feel like I was hipster status in D1 with using it at an extreme range, and I just can't, claim that anymore because it's so easy to use. There's no like challenge in it. I like learning something that has a steep learning curve, and it's like not there. And so that's the one thing that gets me about it is like, yeah, I like that it's powerful and everything, but it's almost like not as fun not being able to master something,
You're a never mind. No, yeah,
Yeah,
I totally,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
I totally agree with that. It's fun. I definitely think it's going to get changed to a point, right? Like something's got to get changed with it. I know that they're supposed to be powerful, but you'd think with it getting 6 rounds in the fusion rifle and only 4 in the shotgun, is that right?
That's correct. The ones that we've used at least.
Yeah, right. And that's another thing. We don't know all the different archetypes, all the different weapons.
That's
but
true. Yeah.
As it stands now, I would think something's got to change, right? Even if they just narrow or just cut it down to 4 shots.
I would think so.
I think it's probably going to get toned down. Unless, for some reason, they accidentally added a really powerful high-end fusion rifle into the beta and was like, "Oops, let's just
put the Fellwinters of fusion rifle in.
Yeah." Everyone's just like, "Well, hey, whoever did that, whoops." Like out of all the loot that we got to use, just that there was the OP thing in the game, the meta right there. No one knows.
I think overall, though, like they all felt like all the power ammo in general, aside from the grenade launcher. Like I liked the rocket launcher, the 1 shell in it. Like that felt really good to me. It was mainly just the fusion rifle felt like a little strong, but the shotgun felt perfect. I know a lot of people were talking about the flinch on the snipers. I can't really attest to the main normal sniper, but the linear sniper, that thing, I felt like it stuck to people's heads and stuff. So but whenever the normal fusion rifle is so strong, it's like, what's the point in using one of the snipers? I guess we'll see when we get more maps, and what kind of lanes we get. Ramblinnn, what do you think about the way that the different variations of power ammo played out?
My problem with the fusion wasn't necessarily that it was so strong; is that there wasn't any reason to use any of the other power weapons because
Yeah,
there
exactly.
was no way to counterplay a fusion. Even like I was seriously more afraid of the fusion than a super in the beta because
Yeah.
there was a
That's
lot more
true.
options for the fusion players
Completely
getting
same.
locked into their super. You can use a fusion like a shotgun. You can use it you could use it like the linear fusion because it had a pretty good range. You can play around a sniper and you can flinch them out. You can stay out of their line of sights and the rocket. You can even dodge a rocket. You can dodge a grenade launcher, but you're really limited as to how you play around that fusion when it's so consistent, when it has so many shots, and when it's going to pop up every time power arm spawns, someone's going to have that fusion. You know what's coming, and there's not anything you can do about it.
I think the important question is if you can dodge all those other things, can
Yes,
you
you
dodge a
can.
wrench?
Oh my goodness, this guy.
I get this one. I got it.
I got that one. I got that one.
The someone in chat though brought up there is a new gun that we heard about this week as well. The Cold Heart that we just found out is a pre-order bonus. Tater brought it up, saying, "What do we think about the new Cold Heart gun?" I've heard conflicting things. I was wondering from you guys if y'all have heard confirmed sources because John Wisniewski tweeted out he was like, "It is an energy weapon," but I wasn't sure if that was like it takes an energy like arc, but it is a heavy weapon, or does it go in the energy weapon slot? I heard energy weapon slot. What did you guys hear?
I'm hearing energy slot,
I also
but
heard
that does feel weird for a pre-order to be that specific,
Yeah.
especially if it's going to be the only of its kind. That's the only place I really have a problem with. Is I feel like people are going to be missing out on that.
Yeah.
It's specifically a pre-order weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's what
and then people can get it in December.
I didn't really hear much about it until like I was streaming like late last night and people were talking about it. I'm just like, what are you guys talking about? Like this new weapon? I'm just like, oh, it's a pre-order exotic, right? A
Yes.
pre-order exotic.
Yeah. But you
Yeah,
get
I
it
don't know if I'm down
not
for
too
that.
far from now. You get it not too far from now in December,
Yes.
which is when some people are expecting maybe the first expansion to drop. But
I think that
I don't
makes
know.
sense. I mean,
Mm.
I've seen that too. They're saying it'll be December 5th or 6th, I believe, available to everyone,
And
which
I think
is
that's going to be a PvP focused expansion. I think we get private matches then.
yeah.
yeah.
Oh
and
yeah, that would be
That
awesome.
makes sense timeline wise. I mean, it might be. I mean, it's Osiris DLC, right? That's what we're thinking.
That's what the
Yeah.
symbol is for sure. Yeah, it's like the Eye of Osiris.
I think we get some kind of PvP focus there, and there'll be PvE too. But I think that's when they go full steam ahead into whatever plans they have for ranked or anything like that. I think that's when we
Yeah.
get to that. I think they're gonna let the game develop first. There's gonna be some balance changes. People are gonna go through all the content. People are gonna get their characters settled, and then we can move into the real competitive PvP. That's what I'm hoping for, at least.
You know, that's interesting you bring up that gives it time to like make those balance changes. I didn't even think about that, holding off on some of maybe the more competitive aspects until the normal Crucible has had time to figure out, what are the go-to weapons and then kind of adjusting, making sure everything's super balanced by the time they really get the more competitive stuff, whether that's trials or private matches or whatever they end up doing.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to point
That's
out
cool.
that I can't wait to be Captain Cold, right? Come on. Tell me that isn't what
With
you
your
thought of with that
Sentinel
gun.
shield.
Yeah, man. I'll be Captain America and Captain Cold. It'll be like Marvel versus
my
DC
gosh.
on one character.
I'm just excited to have a Sentinel gun from Halo in Destiny, which is going to be awesome because that's basically what the Cold Heart is. But I was kind of hoping it would go in the heavy slot because I wanted it to do like massive damage in this laser beam of a shot. It seemed really cool, but I'm worried that because it's in the energy slot that it's not actually going to be that strong.
Yeah,
and
powerful.
Yeah,
You're afraid that it might be underwhelming in a sense.
Yeah,
It's
especially if it's a
It's
pre-order.
an
Yeah.
exclusive pre-order, and it might just be meh. So
it makes
Yeah.
the straw seem like it's going to be that it's a unique gun and not that it's a good gun.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what No
Might
Land
just
was.
be a
at
fun
first.
gun. Yeah,
It was a cool weapon, but originally it wasn't really a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I'm expecting in this case. And
Still appalled that NLB became meta. Who would have thunk?
Well, I know, they're obviously not going to come out and say, hey, yeah, we're going to give you this gun. It's not really that good. They're not going to, they're going to hype it up. But I think it was still John Wisniewski who said it's going to be a really good single target DPS gun, I think was how he put it. So we'll see. And I don't know if anyone saw the Twitter comment. Someone commented on him like, how do you know all this stuff? Like, like being a
Yeah.
smartass, and someone was like, "Cause he's the game dev, he made it." That was
I love
pretty
that.
awesome. Yeah.
Well, with that news coming out, they also brought out. I should probably bring it up since we're talking about that pre-order. Is that Ghost that is coming out that tracks your kills, which is interesting. And there was some other stuff too. I think there was like a set of armor or something like that that came with it as well. But mainly just the Ghost. I thought it was interesting. It's cool. It's cool that they're doing different things with Ghost, but I wasn't like super pumped to have something that tracks my kills or anything like that.
During the trailer for all that, it showed the Ghost, it showed the exotic, pre-order weapon and all that.
Uh-huh.
There was a clip that someone tweeted out. I forget who it was, but it was just that little segment of. There's like only a second or two clip of someone just blasting. I think it was like Cabal or something with like
Yes.
a sidearm. And I cannot remember who tweeted out, but someone was like, "Is that a full auto sidearm?" Because there is just like no flinch, just, and it's just that was it,
Dude.
and I was just like,
That would be awesome. That's my one problem with the super fast firing, like Blinding Blaze from Destiny 1, like those super fast firing sidearms that I can't pull the trigger that fast. It's impossible for me to use. Need a full auto one.
You gotta get your fingers some more work, Lego.
Yeah.
I would
What do
be
you
all
say?
for pushing them for full auto if they hadn't introduced SMGs. I think that's kind of a little bit too much overlap there now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
What are
Maybe
your
it's
Very true.
speaking of SMGs? What was your take on those, Ram?
I've always been an SMG fan. Any game I played, I always preferred the closer range weapons rather than assault rifles or auto rifles or whatever they're ever called in the different ones. And I enjoyed using the SMGs in the beta. I especially like the
Nice.
phosphorus with the slower rate of fire, but the more damage. It made it a little more consistent. I just felt that they weren't balanced very well for console because they had such low aim assist and the aim assist dropped off so fast.
yeah,
That you were pretty much in melee range by the time you were using it, and they were lethal at melee range. But the problem was that made them not fun to use when I couldn't control it, or at least in the fact that it wasn't consistent. If they never had that aim assist in the first place, I wouldn't get used to it. But when it was dropping in and out and going back and forth, it was making it very hard to control and adapt to.
it was a very noticeable, like you said, drop off from when you were able to control it, get a kill consistently. The moment they backed away, just like a couple feet from when you're engaging them, you can be like controlling it, and then aim assist just
starts
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like, "Ah!" and, like trying to control a fire hydrant, and it's just like, what's happening, But I really liked the SMGs as well. I thought they were really satisfying to just jump around the corner and just mow someone down, just melt them point blank.
I think it was cool that I think SMGs, obviously they're new to the game, but I think they were one of the bigger things that benefited from the change in special to power ammo, because like you're saying, you have to be right up close. If this was Destiny 1 and everyone had a shotgun, anytime you go to use that SMG, you'd get shotgun in the face. So I think it was, it was a good move to bring those in now when shotguns are in the power ammo and they're not always around, and when someone has it. And that's really allowed SMGs to like have a place, I think.
Here's something. SMGs, they're going to have a place now because, like you said, shotguns aren't going to be roaming around just to shut them down. Okay, here's a weapon that people now hate in current Destiny that no one used at all in D2. What do you feel about sidearms?
Ooh, I was just going to say that because we have a guest in chat, Kajavi. He says, I feel like sidearms have no spot in the game with SMGs. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong, Kajavi.
I saw that.
JK Hovey.
Maybe that's KJOV. I don't know. But I was feeling the same. I thought it was interesting as Ram brought up, the differences between sidearms and SMGs, like the overlap there. And I didn't even consider it just because the first time I picked up a sidearm in the game, it just didn't feel as good as the SMG, and and that's why I never used it. And so that's why he feels away. Did you all think there was more like range to sidearms than to SMGs? I felt like they dropped off pretty quick.
I think they just didn't really offer anything that SMGs didn't, and the only thing they were offering were being a different weapon. And in that regard, I think you need to almost hybrid them with hand cannons so that very accurate in the air, and you can be a little more mobile with them. Maybe give them some better hip fire. Where SMG, you could be more. It's more of like an aggressive gun where you're chasing people down. I think sidearms would be good at shutting down shotguns, for example, if somebody that's pushing you. I just don't feel like they really accomplish anything right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
at least the ones they gave us for this beta was very, very underwhelming. I tried to use it. I think it was like the first or second day, just to keep on testing it out. I'm just like, I just can't. I just couldn't effectively use it at any range. Like, I thought maybe peeking around, taking pop shots from like mid range. No, I'm not hitting them. Go up point blank, they turn around with like auto rifle or anything at that point, just melt me. I'm just like, what are sidearms?
Well, you know who?
It's almost like they just added them in the game because they had to, but there's not really a place for them with the SMGs. But it's like it was in Destiny 1, so we had to put it in there.
Yeah, maybe they're like, you guys are complaining so much right now about sidearms, we're just going to make them crappy. You know what? That's what we've done.
They like to do that.
Yeah,
That's true. Well, you know who would make sidearms look good though? He's bringing out a video tomorrow actually about how good sidearms are. True Vanguard. He's not really.
Oh.
He's not. No, I made that up.
Of
But you know how he
course.
always comes out with like.
I'm really curious. How did he do it?
He's always like, "Oh, I have this gun, and everyone thinks it's bad, but look, I got 70 kills with it." And I'm like, but not everyone. No, it's still bad. You're just good.
You're just good. Yeah. Well, getting away from the weapon topic and onto, some other new things that came out this week, we also got revealed the new survival game type by IGN, which looked very Trials-esque. I think, because it's very similar to Elimination, you just have extra lives. What were y'all's take on that? I thought it was really interesting. Like, I was psyched to see it. I'm not sure how I feel about it in a competitive sense, but just as a game type, I was like, ooh, I'm really excited to just jump into this normal Crucible,
I had two problems with the mode, and first is just that it's not going to work in a casual setting at all. And it's going to be the competitive playlist, but that doesn't mean casual players won't be in that playlist.
Right.
Yeah.
And especially for solo players, you're going to be fighting with your teammates for lives. You're already fighting for power ammo. Without that communication of who's going to be aggressive, who's going to take these lives, I can see it being completely messy in that angle. And my second problem with it was, and I'm blanking for a second, is that it has the same issue that Elimination had. There's no objective motivation other than the overtime capture flag. I can see those matches stalling very quickly, and the rounds I think are longer, right? And
I would assume, yeah.
And I'm expecting there to be a lot of stalemates, especially in low life scenarios. And it's a first to three, so it's not going to be as long of a game in that perspective, but that's still going to be stale gameplay for me. It's going to be only really working at the highest level of play is my problem, and that's a good and a bad thing. It's going to be great for competitive. I feel the teams that are actively engaging and capitalizing on getting enemies down, but to pick it up and just run with it, I don't think it's going to work at all.
Like, because they mentioned a lot in the video that power ammo, they specifically put it in the center. In the map we were shown, it was right where the flag was as well. And they were like, this is going to incentivize people to engage each other. Do you feel like it's not really going to be enough?
No, I think it's going to turn into the same thing that Heavy did in Destiny 1, where players are going to fight over the Heavy, but they're not going to actually pursue it. So maybe the stalemate centers at the middle of the map, and maybe that hopefully incentivizes engagements, but it's not going to force an enemy team to change anything up. It's just going to make sure that both teams are doing the same thing.
Interesting. Yeah, for me personally, like Heavy is one of my favorite parts of any game type, not because of using it in like D1, but just for that skirmish around it, because people just don't play smart whenever there's something that incentivizes them. They're like, oh, look at that thing. I want to go get it. So I'm just excited about all the kills I'm going to get just, in the casual-ish way that people play. I think it's going to be fun, but I don't know if it'll be fun for them. I don't know if the casuals will keep playing that game mode,
Is it bad that this is the first I've heard about
what do
this
y'all
game
think?
mode?
Yes.
Do what?
I didn't even know about this game mode yet. Like I was disconnected from all the social medias for like the day, pretty much. And this is news to me.
Yes. So for anybody listening too who hasn't caught up on news, basically the new IGN video. You can go up and watch it. They have I think two videos. One of them shows the map and the game mode, and one of them is just gameplay of it. And basically, you have a set number of lives for your team. It's like elimination, but instead of only having that life and then that's it, you respawn based on how many lives your team has left. And then there's a power ammo that spawns in the middle, and at the end of the game, if there's a stalemate or something, when the timer goes down, a flag spawns, just like in elimination.
So is it not like individual lives? It's a team pool
pool,
of lives.
yeah.
Team lives, yeah.
That is
It's
very interesting.
Team
Well,
respawns more because you don't, losing all your lives doesn't mean the end of the round. You still play it out until your last member has died. So
Right.
your team can respawn that many times, and then it comes down to how many people you actually have up.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
Yeah.
I'm with Ram on this because, even if at the beginning, if people, comparing this to like year one or Destiny 1 trials / elimination, where it got so campy because people didn't want to die and everything, even if it allows people to push engagements more early because they have 8 lives or whatever, by the end of that of every round, it's going to be regular elimination. For at least for one team, right? You're down to your last lives, and it's still going to play out, I feel like,
Yes.
the same way as elimination does now. So it's a neat twist on it in theory, but I think it's going to end up playing out the same way. Maybe it'll be fast at the beginning, but then once people start dying, they're going to do the same things they do now. So
I'm curious.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ram.
Okay, I was gonna say I think it'd be a fine addition to an already established playlist where there's multiple modes that we can rotate through. But when you're only contrasting it to another non-respawn mode in Countdown, it's not really offering much. It's gonna be like Countdown, and then this other mode that's also there at the same time, and you're not really getting much of a change between the two.
yeah, I mean, is
I
there
feel
really
like-
that big of a difference between saying your team has 8 lives or your team has 4 like revive tokens or whatever? I mean, they really boil down to the same thing. You're just taking away the objective and adding more lives, right?
Yeah.
So
It's not going to be unique gameplay in any sense, is what
right,
I'm
yeah,
saying.
no, I'm with you.
The thing that I'm worried about is not for the gameplay itself, because everything that it entails sounds fun to me, and even some of the devs have tweeted out like, "This is my favorite game type in D2. I'm so excited about it that they're finally showing it." But what worries me is not comparing it to other PvP things, but comparing it to PvE and knowing how like terrible it is to be the worst person in the raid that holds everybody up. You're the one who's screwing everything up. Like, that's what it's going to feel like when you're at the bottom of your team wasting all your lives because you keep getting killed. Like, I feel like friendships are going to be ended over this game mode, people playing together and be like, why do you keep wasting all our lives? That's what I'm worried about.
That's kind of where I feel lower skilled players are being discouraged in this game, both for that reason, in the sense that you're eating through lives or you're letting your team down, but also with power ammo. When you're playing with players that you're familiar with and they're not as good, and you really want to win, you're going to take that power ammo. You're not going to give it to them because you need every advantage you can get. And this is kind of what worries me, and the possibility that Trials is coming back and there's going to be Trials carries or helps or whatever you want to call them. It's going to be, team shots are awesome, communication's awesome, but these guys aren't going to get the full experience if they're not as skilled, because you're not going to be able to give them that power. You're not going to be able to let them take as many risks as maybe they did before, because you need them alive more than ever.
Yeah, to me, it sounds fun for them, though, just for the fact that because of team shots and how important it is, like with positioning and stuff, that they have to be more involved for the carry to work, And so whoever's getting carried, they're going to feel like they participated, like they did things. And that happens every once in a while in a Trials carry in D1. You get someone who gets a smash off at the last second, and you're like, oh, you did it, And that's really cool. But now it'll be like every game, they're going to be participating in some way. And so I feel like it's going to be way harder for people trying to do carries, but the people who do get to go with their favorite streamers and stuff are going to be really excited to participate is kind of like my take on it.
That is where I can see it benefiting. It's going to be more of a coaching sense than
it's coaching. That's a great word. Yeah.
You can't win for them as much as you would like to. And I think that's going to separate a lot of the trial streamers in the sense of being able to take your team to victory and not just winning it for them, not just carrying.
Yeah.
I say that about
I
like
really-
almost every game mode now, though it seems, because the way that team shots are so necessary now, and just everything. You're not going to have that one guy that just goes off on his own and is just able to clutch it with like snipes, or rush him with a sidearm, like wombo combo, roll away, and do all that crazy stuff you see in Destiny 1 right now. Going to be really, really neat seeing how, like, when Trials does drop, to see what the Sherpas are going to be doing now.
Yes. For real. It's like the clutch plays are going to be like when you have supers or power ammo, but if you don't get any of that, what are the clutches going to look like? Just like really, really solid movement and hiding behind cover.
Well, that's the thing. Like, even as we said before, and Ram pointed out, like, even the supers aren't as big of a momentum changer.
Yeah, it's true.
You could clutch it with a super, but it's not as, like, I don't want to say for sure, like a sure thing, but you're not going to go Nova a whole team most of the time because they're just going to run away from your Slova bomb.
There's two reasons for that. It's not only that the supers are necessarily worse, but two other reasons I should say is that one, you're going against 4 people instead of the 3 that we're used to in Trials. So it's much harder to wipe a team. It's much easier for them to team shot you. But there's also the added gameplay element of elemental weapons dealing that bonus damage to supers. That makes it very easy to defeat.
I don't know if I like that implementation, honestly.
I think the way that they designed the supers in this game, it would have been fine if that didn't exist.
Yeah.
Kind of like they did both, where they made the supers weaker and they made the weapons stronger, and it doesn't
And
end up voting
you
well.
don't have a lot of time to do flanks with your super as well.
Yeah.
Say you pop your super and you're like, oh crap, I just popped it in front of the whole enemy team. Let me, go around this one lane and now my super's gone.
Yeah, especially Golden Gun. Oh my gosh.
Golden Gun's so good, but you got just like you blink and it's like done, and it's just like crap, Or a dang Titan pops those stupid shields, and those shields like eat 3 or 4 shots of it, and you're just like, more.
I feel like that's gotta change.
I don't know. I really don't know if it's good or bad yet.
Not
really.
gonna go.
It's annoying to me.
I'm just gonna sprinkle these in here because there's a couple of them. But since we were on the topic, we have a Twitter question from Decagon for Ram. She wants to know when you will do your first 1v4 countdown.
I will not do a 1v4 countdown.
There you have it. Yeah, no, that was one of the things we talked about a little bit last week. How we were assuming it's going to be countdown or something similar, but really, like Mana said, it's kind of all the modes. That it's going to be much more difficult to, you're not going to be able to do helps anybody. Not, this isn't directed towards you, by yourself. Like, you're not going to be able to help 3 people. Even 2 and 2 is going to be tough. So it's going to be a whole different ball game, really, once that rolls out than it was.
I'm really curious how it's going to either create distancing between the Sherpa and the people she's trying to help, or create more of a bond between the people that they're trying to help, because it gives the Sherpa much more of a chance to, like Ramblinnn was saying earlier, coaching,
Yeah, absolutely.
So it could be an even greater experience for the people that join raffles and jump in with the streamers and all that. So I'm actually really pumped for all this to happen. Like,
I could see that.
I definitely see the opportunity, but I think, as someone who's done enough Trials helps, those people aren't always going to listen to anything you say either.
Yeah.
A lot are, don't get me wrong, but you have some people that just pop in and you're like, hey, go over here, go get the res, and the person runs up and like just looks at the enemy and lets them shoot them. Like, you never know what you're gonna get. It could turn out great. You could have one where you're trying to help them and they just don't care.
You just gotta have patience. Everyone is their own person. Everyone wants to play the game how they want to. So it's just like you can't really expect anything from anyone. And they might have the D1 mindset still, and they might just run off, attempt to do something, or pick up the power weapon, and they're going to have a sniper. You're going to see them snipe, like Hovey, like yelling at Wendler for always trying to snipe and count down. It was beautiful seeing Wendler rush up, grab the sniper, aim down, just get team shot immediately. And Hovey's just like, "What are you doing, Wendler?" It's like, primary. And Wendler's like, "I'm trying." He's like, "No, I saw you with the sniper."
That doesn't sound like something Wendler would do at all.
That sounds like me, actually.
It was
with
so
a fusion rifle.
But then you have someone like grab a shotgun, and then you can just slide in there. It's okay. Here's something. This is kind of a little off subject. Bottom left corner, the feed, seeing people pick up the power weapons.
Yeah.
It's weird for me to try to use that to my advantage. I don't look down there most of the time because mostly it's just D1, it's just the kill feed and whatnot. Like a lot of the times, this power weapon still surprised me. I go around the corner, get shotgun. I'm like, I didn't know he had a shotgun. I'm like, I guess I could have. I guess if I just paid more attention. I don't know. That's weird for me. Is it weird for you guys? Like,
Well, go ahead, Ram.
I think it's a good addition overall. It kind of I was very adamant about calling it out every time someone picked up power. They have a shotgun. They have a fusion. I don't think that the location needed to be added to the feed. That kind of feels like white noise to me. You're gonna know where they pick it up.
yeah.
And you should be able to communicate that with your team. That felt a little overkill to me. But when you know that only one person's going to be getting it, I like that that clash that the power weapon presents, where they have this, you have this. How are we going to be able to work around what they have with what we have? And again, that's kind of where the fusion kind of ruined that. Is the fusion kind of destroyed any plans you could formulate.
Right.
Just kills everything everywhere at all times.
Yeah.
If it sees you, you're dead. You could turn around the corner and just see that glowing weapon. You're like,
Run!
done. You're done for.
But I do really like the way, for me personally, playing with a lot of people who maybe don't play PvP very much, or maybe even haven't played Destiny in a while. And I was hopping in a lot of different teams. I even played this week with someone who had never played Destiny 1 at all, and he jumped into the Destiny 2 beta with me and some of my college roommates, and it was really cool to see his first reactions to everything. He kept calling Titans Guardians and his Warlock Wizard or something like that.
To be fair, he's not wrong.
Yeah, he wasn't wrong on those parts, but it was really fun just to for him to get a feel for it. And he really liked the team communication once we all jumped in. It was really hard as a solo player. He was like, what is going on? But when I jumped in there with him and a couple of us got together and started showing him the ropes, and to be able to call out like, oh, they picked up a shotgun, even though I had just spawned or was dead or something. And I was able to okay, watch out at B, they're coming in with a shotgun. They're going to be close range. You can get back if you need, and just kind of guide through someone who maybe wasn't as good or is newer to the game or something like that. It was really cool for just call out purposes, even if I was dead or something like that. So I enjoy seeing just as much info as possible to communicate, because it's such a team-oriented game now. It was just really cool for me. So it's definitely positive on my end.
It's so strange seeing all that new information because in Countdown or both game modes, I'm so bad at noticing this new information. Is it in both game modes where both teams have you can see what subclass they are, and they glow when they have supers and all that? Honestly, I haven't noticed any of this until the last day of play because I'm having such a blast testing things out, going in and all that, and just playing it. I don't know. It happened to me on Timefall 2 as well. I didn't notice half the things popping up on my screen. Maybe I'm just bad with that in general.
Well, it's a lot to take in, we're used to not having all this information and to have it all at once. I was the same way. I didn't get used to calling out the subclasses having their supers up until the very last day. I was like, oh yeah, this information's here for me to see it at all times.
I got sassed by Hovey one of the days. I'm just like, oh, they got to be getting near their super. And Hovey's just like, you can tell when they have their super. I'm just like, okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, here's the question. Actually, two things. I thought about this. I didn't really pay attention. Does it still show, if you look at them, that they have a super, by their name or anything?
I'm pretty sure it does.
Okay. Because I was wondering, if say they have two Striker Titans and you look up and you go, well, one of them has a super, which one is it? And that wasn't something I paid attention to. The other thing, with all this, we're talking about all this new information that we may or may not even remember to pay attention to. Does anyone find it ironic that they don't have any sort of on-screen notification of the countdown timer for the bombs?
Yes. Oh, well,
it's just ironic to me.
There is a notification.
There is.
It's on the bomb.
Right, but I'm saying there's all these words and all this stuff on the screen, and it's just funny that isn't on there. I'm not arguing that it needs to be or doesn't need to be. It's just funny.
I understand. It feels out of line with the rest of the game design that they put in, where they're giving you all this information and then omit something as simple as that you would expect to see.
Actual objective
isn't an actual bad thing. It's just
funny.
You wouldn't expect it.
It's stressful to me hearing those beeps. The more intense, you got to go in. You team wiped, and you're like, crap. They armed the objective still. You got to rush there real quick. You're hearing the beeps. It's getting more intense. You're just am I going to make it?
The first couple times, I thought it was going to keep getting faster until it exploded. And I'm like, I got plenty of time. I'm just gonna walk down there, and then it like exploded. I was like, damn it.
I remember
Just
that
seeing
game.
like the whole team crowded. I don't think that does anything when everyone is disarming. I think it's only one person.
Yeah.
But like I'm just telling people like if I'm the first one there and everyone surrounding him, like I don't know if I have enough time to get this. Everyone run, just save yourself.
I
But if
wouldn't
you
mind a little.
teabag and disarm it at the same time, then it goes faster, right?
Oh
No,
yeah,
I'm just
yeah.
kidding.
Yeah, it's a little fun bit of stress not knowing if I'm going to make it or not.
I think
In a
that's
game
pretty
mode
intentional.
that's called
Yeah.
Countdown, and there's no countdown.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Lego
I
really
really
thinks that's
think
funny.
I really think that everything they did in the game was like super intentional to whatever makes you more stressed or like gets you more worked up. That's what they're gonna do. Like you can see that they have a shotgun, gets you worked up. You can see that they have this super ability. Oh, watch out! You don't see that where the countdown is. They don't want people to just not go for it if the countdown's at 1 and they have no chance of getting into it. So you still run over there. I think that's probably why they didn't put it in there.
I just want to
I
point
kinda
out
wish-
you were talking
oh.
about things getting. I just wanted to real quick, man. This one's for you anyway. You were talking about things getting you worked up. I just want to point out that Hovey said in chat that Mana had zero awareness as to when it would explode. It could have just been planted, and he would be squealing. So
The beeps, man. The beeps got me scared. Like I would not pay attention when it was planted, and then I'd notice it's planted. Crap, gotta rush in there and get it. What was I even going to say? I don't even remember. Honestly, now I have no idea. It was on the subject. All right, let's just move on.
well, quickly, unless there's anything else, I think we probably should get to a little bit of the PvE stuff that they talked about. We tend to talk a lot about PvP, but there is a PvE aspect to this game. There's just one other thing I wanted to point out from chat earlier. I know we got off the topic a little bit, but as far as trials helps and all that kind of stuff, Tasman85 said, well, with these new game modes, perhaps a different trials lighthouse requirement needs to be met, not, quote, flawless anymore, maybe. Like, we don't know any of that, So, we're basing everything on the way things were in D1. Maybe trials works completely differently. We have no idea.
The only thing they've talked about, and this isn't official by any means, but they did say it's not going to be win-based matchmaking. Okay. It's not going to be card-based. It's not going to be skill-based. We don't know what that means because there might be an entirely new system, but
that is interesting.
I do think that they should change up the way it works, where it's an all or nothing. You lose your mercy and then you lose and you're out and you have to reset. I think it should be a more gradual goal. It could be you get 3 points for a win and you lose 2 for losing, and there could be some give and take there. But I think it should be more obtainable, whatever the main goal is, but there should also be additional rewards for performing well. Maybe you play at a high win card or whatever they're going to be. There's like a higher bracket. Win streaks give you loot. It shouldn't be people stressing over, disconnections and lag and one bad game. I think that kind of thing just worsens the player experience.
Yeah. You've got some really good points.
Yeah, I like that, with the whole, maybe 3 points for a win, 2 points for a loss, or whatever, the numbers, that's not for us to figure out. But I do like that because, like you said, it's not kind of an all or nothing thing. You don't have to go reset your card, but it does penalize you for losing, which it should if it's supposed to be this, trials of whoever's trials are going to be this time. But yeah, it lets you, like Ram said, more gradually get there. And, you may lose a game and it sets you back, but you can get, you can win some more and get up there. And I think I would like something similar to that.
As long as I don't have to keep on going back to the reef to reset my card.
Well, exactly.
Honestly, I'm excited for anything. That was just the most annoying part, Like jump in, maybe casually with friends, get destroyed in 2 games, like, let's go back to the reef, It's like, this is the future. I'm in a spaceship. Why can't you just email me my new card or something?
That's true. Yeah. We have space.
Just Scotty, beam it up. Where are you at? Something like that. Yeah, that was just annoying.
The one thing I will say about it is I do like the exclusivity, the way that, you know, only so many people make it to the lighthouse. Like we've talked about this, Hove, before, about how we really are okay with things being very hard to achieve and some people not being able to achieve them. But I also understand what Ram was saying about, you know, it's frustrating to get stressed out about like a disconnection or, you know, something errors out that's not even your fault. And so I don't know, like maybe there's a middle ground in there somewhere. What we've talked about before, one time I think we discussed it, was like if there was just more loot in general so that it'd be worth it to get to just 9 wins, you know, where it was diverse enough to where even if you got, you know, a loss on your card, you would still want to keep going because, there's stuff at 9 that I still want to get, you know, and right now the pool's so limited. And once you have that stuff, you never want to do it again.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, I still do like the idea of, in some way, shape, or form, whether it be PvE, PvP, both, of there being stuff that is very difficult to achieve and maybe everyone won't achieve it. I do kind of like that. You know, maybe it shouldn't be some super powerful weapon, whether it an emblem, a shader, whatever.
If those weapon mods are weapon shaders like we're expecting, I think that's a good place to do it.
That'd be cool.
Because I'm totally okay with there being stuff that not everyone can get. And that's not because I think I'm definitely going to get it and I don't care about anyone else. Like, I may not get it, and I'll be like, God damn it, I want to get it, and I'm going to try. But it's you know, you either get it and you have it and you're, you know, the top of the game, or that's a constant carrot on a stick if you care about that stuff. So I'm okay with that kind of stuff, just in general. But, you know, that's a whole different topic for, you know, another day.
You did mention some PvE stuff, though. You know, they talked about, I'm not sure what you were going to bring up, but what got me really hyped was all the talk about like patrols and what's going to be in those that they have been talking about, all the IGN releases, and particularly the Lost Sector stuff. Like that gets me like really hyped, knowing that there's going to be stuff hidden throughout the map. And I know that the internet's going to ruin it immediately for anybody who wants to like go exploring, but I might just like anything that is like Lost Sector here, I might just stay away from it and just go in not knowing anything just for the fun of it, you know?
You can't,
I don't
Lego.
know.
You host a podcast. You have what's the word I'm looking for?
Duty?
Yeah, you have a duty to the people. I don't think that's what I was looking for, but it works.
I think that even YouTubers and, you know, like if you're not covering specifically every Lost Sector and how to get into it, then you can go into it a little bit blind. Like it's fine, you know? Like we don't have to talk in depth about every single Lost Sector. I feel like, I don't know, hopefully there's enough, you know, that it doesn't feel like, oh, here's the 5 on this map. Like I want there to be a good bit of them, you know, and
a decent amount,
interesting to get
Yeah.
into.
not enough to where it seems like a chore, you know, and just
Yes.
a curious amount.
Yes, curious.
When I think of Lost Sectors, I think of the cauldrons in Horizon Zero Dawn. You know, they're just in Horizon Zero Dawn, you only get one, but huge, you know, place, and you go and you do all the things, mini dungeon or whatever. That's what I think of, and I want it to be like those because those were cool. You're exploring, come across the Lost Sector, pops up, you're just like, no way, yo, let's do it. You know, you're just with your fire team. It's just like, what is this? I don't know. Let's check it out. I want that feeling back. I'm a PvP player, and I'm super pumped for more PvE content.
Same.
I just miss that. It's been a long time since I've had some tingly good feels about PvE in Destiny.
Well, and I think, you know, I definitely, I don't know if I came into Destiny as more of a PvP player, but I definitely am leaving Destiny 1 as more of a PvP player. But I think that's just by, you know, the nature of the content. Like Ramblinnn said earlier, you know, it's something that doesn't have the replayability. It gets I don't know if you said boring. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I mean...
Yeah, stale.
Stale, yeah.
Stale.
I mean, it only... unless there's an update, it's going to be the same thing every time you do it. It's AI, it does the same thing. Or even if they
you don't
have
get
three
any new
different
rewards. You know, I guess that's also a thing that doesn't bring me back. And I do it. RNG gives me the same thing I got like 3 times in a row. I'm just like, yeah, I guess I'll come back in 7 months or something. You know,
But, yeah, I mean, I end up with PvP because... you know, at least to a point, every experience is slightly different as you're playing different players. They do different things. They hit different shots, whatever it may be. You know, there's a million variables. But for the first couple times through, I do really enjoy the PvE of Destiny, and I think it looks great this time. I think they've added a lot more stuff, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's just like I said, by nature of the beast, you're going to run out of PvE stuff to do before you run out of PvP scenarios. But I think it looks great. You know, like you said, Patrol, they added adventures, lost sectors, flashpoints, and public events. You know, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So, yeah, I definitely think it gives hope for, you know, that they maybe got Patrol right.
Hope. Another thing I hope they just add in is just stupid little Easter eggs here and there, stupid little things that you can go off and notice. You know, like you go back in like Halo, you find the skulls, or you just find like in the first level, there's these random things littered here and there that you can notice. Like there's a family of like monkeys or something you can find here and there, stuff like that. You know, I hope they pick that back up to where,
and if
you know.
If
like
the
that.
first mission is any indication of that too, because we have like the squashed ball from the tower, you know, and
I hate
stuff
squash
like
balls.
But there's that, and then there's, you know, they make jokes about the sweeper bots all the time and stuff like that, and so I think there's good indication. And also, you know, if the end of Destiny, this is more for me something I'm excited about for PvE, but if the end of Destiny is any indication that they're listening, you know, to what we want, if they just take over some of the things that they did, which they are for a lot of things, but stuff like the tower vendors rotating out like what they have in stock, they started doing that at the end. If they bring that into D2, like from the get-go, there's gonna be so much more to like go out and earn and then go pay for, you know, at the tower or whatever, you know. So I'm excited about stuff like that. Ram, what's something for you, like out of all the PvE stuff that they've announced, that like really gets you excited for D2?
I can't say that anything in particular gets me excited when it comes to PvE. It's just kind of, it all looks good. It looks, you know, nothing looks bad. It'll be fun. And
nice.
When I get in and play the content, I'm sure I'll love it. It's just, I don't know what to expect at this point. I don't have any wants or needs or expectations or anything when it comes to PvE. It's just kind of, I'll go in, I'll enjoy it, and hopefully it takes me for a ride that I can come back and I appreciate later.
Yeah, that's cool. I can appreciate that.
I think, for me at least, I think the story in general looks like it's going to be really cool. You know, we've talked about it before, but I think they've nailed it much better than they have in the past. So I'm pretty excited about that.
Every new content drop, the story was getting
better and better.
Yeah,
True.
they're getting there, and then coming out with a whole new game. I got a lot of hope that, you know, that big grunt Bane looking hybrid dude, you know, gives us you know, a challenge.
And they said what, 52 cutscenes? And that's compared to 45 through all of Destiny 1's lifespan. So I mean that's
a lot.
Crazy, yeah. So that's definitely what gets me the most excited, because I mean my favorite game series, as I've mentioned before, is Uncharted, and that's because it felt like a big interactive movie. You know, the story was great. Like it felt like you were watching a movie and then you got to like do things in it. So I'm excited for that. I think it's gonna be great.
Well, I think the only thing we have left, if y'all haven't talked about it already, have y'all talked about like the news that just hit with all the PC specs and the TWAB, where the beta for the PC is coming? We found out now, you know, all that jazz.
No, we didn't get to that. I wanted to wait. Lego, you're the host, man. I waited for you.
Well, here's the deal. Like, I don't have a gaming PC, so you're really the one that should cover this topic, I think, Hove. And man, I'm curious for you too, like how much PC stuff you'll be doing, like if any of this tickles your fancy, getting a second Destiny beta, basically.
I am curious, no doubt. I will be playing the beta again on PC. One of the main reasons why I've gotten into PlayerUnknown Battlegrounds was to, you know, start getting used to mouse and keyboard and all that, because people are saying like, oh, you can just use controller on PC. I'm just like, but me being a PvP player, I want to be on the same playing field as the other guys, you know. I want to attempt to keep up with all the good players, and
I'm not going to attempt to do that
on PC. You're not going to attempt
to keep up with good players? No.
Oh, come on, just dabble it a little bit.
No.
But no, it's just like using controller on a PC is just no. you're going to be at a disadvantage all around. You can be so much more precise on mouse and keyboard. I'm slowly becoming curly fries. I might be like
Curly fries.
I'm like a
That sounds
washed up potato. I'm not just pure dirty straight out the ground potato right now.
I was gonna say,
I'm
if you're
getting there.
jumping to curly fries, you're going from like raw potato like to king of the hill. Like you might want to find somewhere in the middle there.
No, my goal is curly fries still. I'm not saying that I'm right
Okay.
there. It's like I might be
So are
low
you
tier.
saying curly fries are the pinnacle of fries?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I like curly fries.
Above waffle fries? Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
Curly fries, waffle fries, maybe they're like a little wheel that kind of rotates,
It
Okay.
depends. Are
Depends
these
I'm
on
down with
where
that.
it's from.
are these waffle fries seasoned like curly fries?
Yes. Yes.
Oh well, then they're like pretty much the same thing.
Like I said, it's like a wheel. They're kind of rotating. One's on top,
Yeah.
and depending on where you get them.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're just talking about food. Let's go back. Like I'm
Yeah.
saying, like I'm not the best. I'm not the worst. Now I feel.
Well,
After-
yeah. I definitely think we need to ask the important question here. Ramblinnn, what's your favorite kind of fries?
Sweet potato.
Ooh.
Ooh, really?
Throwing the curveball.
I was not going to.
I don't know if
Are the-
curly fries exist, but that would be the answer if they do.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
true.
there you go. That's going to be my second question.
But
What
anyway,
about secondly, Ramblin', what about the PC beta for Destiny 2? Are you going to be hitting that early access when it comes August 28th?
Oh, 100%. I think it'll be most interesting to see if they make any changes between now and then, or if they're even considering doing so. I imagine we'll see maybe some, minor stuff in the back end, but I don't know that we can really expect them to make significant changes because it might not be worth it. It might just be something they want to compile more feedback from and then make the changes
Yeah.
afterwards instead of trying to step by step it right now. They probably have bigger priorities.
Do you think that there's a chance that the two communities, like the PC community and the console community, will have basically different metas because of aim assist potentially, and the way, like, just how different it is playing on a PC versus a console? Will there be weapons that's like, well, this is really good here? Like you were talking about, submachine gun, for instance. The aim assist kind of throws it off on console, but maybe on PC it feels great.
I've never thought about
I'd be
that.
surprised if it's not different. You're going to see those theoretical time to kills actually come into play when people have a mouse in their hand. People are going to be that good that the weapons are going to perform exactly as they're designed, and you don't have to adjust for any leeway on players not being able to perform to their maximum potential. They're going to be ideal weapons in that sense.
All I hear in
Sidearms might
Ram's
be
voice,
usable.
all I hear in Ram's voice right now is, "I am ready to slaughter people on PC." Like that's what it sounds like. They're using every weapon to its ultimate extent, which is he's right. It's cool to hear you talk about it. I never think about these things.
like he
Yeah, I
does-
never once thought about different metas on the two, console versus PC, just because the difference in being able to use weapons, to their full effectiveness. I don't know. That's really curious to me. Never
If you
once
look,
has that
if you
crossed
look
my
at
mind.
Overwatch, it's the heroes on console, or I don't keep up with the meta too much nowadays. But when it first came out, at least, it was the heroes that had the lock-on weapons, that had the passive abilities, that weren't all about hit scan. They weren't about instant damage. They weren't about tracking, and it kind of resulted in a need for different balance. And like the turret heroes like Torbjorn, they had to adjust it because that consistency that the turret provided, you couldn't achieve that with the controller. So it was hard to combat.
Yeah, I guess so.
Well, I think as we're talking about the PC side of things, we should actually state what the news was. We kind of skipped over that.
Yes.
The PC beta is going to be early access August 28th, open on the 29th, and it will end on the 31st. So you get 4 days if you, I guess, pre-order. I'm guessing that's early access, right? And 3 days for everybody. Which actually, this news made me remember to go and pre-order. So I just pre-ordered for PC. So
Still need to do that.
I will be raw potatoing my way through the PC beta. Also, man, I don't think anybody's surprised that you have still not done that. But quickly, they do give a recommended minimum and their specs from the event. Quickly, just to run down them. They recommend for the CPU Intel Core i5 2400 or an AMD Ryzen R5 1600X. The GPU being a GeForce GTX 970 or a Radeon R9 390 and 8 gigabytes of RAM. Now, my question, Wilson and I were talking about this earlier, recommended specs. What do you think they're saying like to run that at? Just 60 and 1080p, 60 FPS and 1080p, or what's your thoughts on that?
That sounds about right to me. I don't think they're going to be straying too much on that. I think they would have stated otherwise if they were.
Yeah.
I wonder if there will be more information that comes out on that later, like this for these settings, or something like that. I don't know if I'm not a PC gamer, so I was curious, like, what is the norm? And also a question just for anybody who's listening who is more of a console gamer too, like, are these requirements extreme or are they like,
no,
doable, that kind of thing?
No, that recommended is actually kind of lower than I thought they were going to be honest. Not by a lot, but
yeah,
they should be fine. I mean, the minimum, which again I'm assuming are more like console specs, if you want to run it at like 30 FPS and maybe 720 or something, is only an i3 3250 Intel or an FX 4350 AMD and a 660 GTX card. I mean, I have a 970 and I don't even know what that means because someone was like, yeah, that'll work, and I was like, okay. So I mean, the minimum is much lower than I thought it was going to be. So I'm
just hoping you guys aren't going to ask me about anything PC wise. That's why I'm eating right now.
Same.
Hopefully you guys ignore me because I have no idea about anything PC. I'm just
I'm the
thinking that
exact same.
from the highest like specs to the lowest specs, honestly, for Destiny, it's not one of those games like Battlefield or something where there's a super like hyper, realistic and a whole bunch of detail stuff. So I'm not expecting too much of a change, depending on how your build is. So I don't know. That's just me thinking that way.
I mean, like I said,
I don't really know.
It seems like a pretty, I don't know, Ram, how much you're in the PC stuff. I'm sort of fairly a noob to it, but I mean, the recommended doesn't seem too crazy. That's pretty middle of the road type of stuff, right?
Yeah, and when it comes to games like PC games, people are generally willing to run lower settings even just to get better performance. So it'll be interesting to see how that applies to Destiny 2, where the graphics are a pretty big part of the game. It's a pretty game. So there's a trade-off there.
How much time do you think you're going to be spending on the PC version of the game, Ram?
PC version or PC beta?
Version. Like, once both are out, where do you see your time being split there?
I'm likely going to balance the two through the end of this year. And at that point, I will make a decision based on whatever the competitive scene is on, whatever is more enjoyable, where my community might be, and pick one of the two. Because I tried the Xbox and PS4 balance and Destiny 1. I don't enjoy it. It's not as fun to me. It's too much money. It's too much time. Too much stress.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't get to enjoy the game to its full potential. I feel like I'm splitting it maybe like 75-75, where I'm getting a little bit out of each, but not the most on one.
Yeah. Nice. That's like one of the most level-headed responses I've ever heard about the "what are you gonna main" question. It's like, this is why, not immediately my community is here or there, or it's like, well, we'll see. We'll try both, for a little while. Sounds awesome.
I'm gonna do a little both, but I'll probably stick on PS4 almost exclusively. Just goof around on PC, I would say.
Yeah, you know where I'll be at.
Honestly, I'm going to dabble in all. I mean, I want to be able to play with more of my community. Everyone's going to be split up between the two. And now I have a chance of playing with my old friends that I used to play games with a lot, because a lot of them gave up on console in the new, generation and just went straight to PC. So I haven't played with them a lot. And now that Destiny's come to PC, everyone's kind of pumped. I'm just like, oh, nice. I get to play with you guys again. It's nostalgic friendship stuff right there. So I don't know if I want a main console still, because controller, it just feels so good to me. But at the same time, if the majority of the people that I play with, or that are known and stuff like that, travel over to PC, then I might make the great migration of potato to hopefully potentially French fries, you know.
Just regular French fries.
It's like I'm not going to be
near.
nearly as good on PC than I am on console. So it's frightening, you know, it's intimidating.
No,
Yeah.
I'm with you. I'm terrible. It's rather embarrassing.
Well, the last bit of news I think that we had in the TWAB had to do with D1 actually, and that is that we're having our last Iron Banner and our last, I think, 3 weekends of Trials of Osiris are happening. Are you guys gonna be doing this? I'm curious because after the beta, I'm very torn. I'm like, I could like that would be fun, you know, especially if they do something different for one of the trials weekends. But then there's the other side of me that's like I could spend all that time like editing videos, you know, and stuff like doing productive things, you know, and then just
Montages.
kind of things. So what are you guys gonna be doing? Are y'all gonna be hitting up these D1 events?
I've already uninstalled.
So that's a
I
no.
uninstalled the beta.
Simple.
I'm done with Destiny 1.
Oh boy,
that's amazing.
As much as I want to do that, I think I'm going to be doing at least Destiny on Saturdays, if not Sundays, with like TV and all that, depending on what Hovey and TV want to do. I'm still going to be dabbling up until the end of trials, but a part of me now after the beta, man,
Yeah.
it's going to be rough,
it's tough.
dude. It's going to be rough.
I don't think I'll go back for the Iron Banner.
Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, maybe if I get some friends that are like, hey, you know, in Discord or something, like, hey, we're going to jump on and play just to like, because there's 6 of us or whatever. Maybe a little bit here and there.
Because you can't do that in Destiny 2.
Well, I can't do anything in Destiny 2 right now.
No, that's true.
But no, I think the last weekend in Trials I'll probably play just to get together with some people that I played with over the last 2 years that Trials has been out, and just kind of like a nostalgic thing. I mean, I'll probably want to gouge my eyes out with rusty spoons by the end of it, after I get stuck with 12 sticky grenades in one round. But I definitely think I want to do it at least one more time. I'll do that last weekend, but that's probably gonna be it.
Yeah. I think for me, like I'm probably not going to hit Iron Banner as much as I want to jump in and wave at Hey Fitzy, who's going to be the one we're all after this week. But I will probably jump into Trials, especially if I see that they're doing something special or it's one of my favorite maps or something like that. But for the most part, I think I'm going to stay away. I think I'm just going to keep eating up all this D2 hype, you know, and reading all the articles that come out because I'm just so ready for it, you know.
Yeah,
but that's about it for me. Hove, did we have any more community questions that we need to get out before we close it down too?
Wendler wanted to ask Ram why he subbed to Wendler instead of using that $5 on Chick-fil-A. I'm going to ask that just to humor him, even though that was, I think, Wendler's way of just letting everyone know he has a sub button.
At the burger place at GuardianCon, he just won me over with his motivational speech. It was inspiring. He was truly a unique content creator. I never considered the idea of making an emote before.
He's unique.
Genius.
Yeah.
He's definitely unique.
Definitely unique.
You should have been in the car the moment we touched down in Tampa, driving around. Hove and him. It was the best thing. Most of the time, you know, being in the back seat, you kind of miss out on conversations. No, just chilling there, listening to those two go back and forth was worth it.
He was very reserved when you were around, Ram. It was like he didn't want everyone to know. He like maybe he wanted to impress you. I don't know, but that was
Got off on a good start with the directions. So I mean,
well, that's like a GuardianCon thing, man. That's 2 years in a row. Directions don't work well for us. Resolute and directions, not a good match.
Oh my gosh.
But no, I did want to say, you briefly mentioned it, Lego, but I think it's very fitting that the last Bungie bounty is Iron Banner, and the last Iron Banner is Hey Fitzy, who, for anyone who doesn't know, you know, he played God knows how many hundreds of games over so many Iron Banners to kind of, you know, revolutionize the drop rates, the reward system, because it was having its rough patches, and he put together all these numbers and kind of got known for that, and a lot of people ran into him. So I think it's really fitting, and I think it's, you know, that's something he deserves. He's also another Pittsburgh guy, so shout out to Hey Fitzy.
Got to meet him there.
Yeah,
It was cool.
We met him at the airport at like 4 a.m. eating hot
4 a.m.
wings.
We were eating wings and stuff.
I can't believe y'all were all eating wings so early. Y'all are crazy.
We almost got some alcohol too, but we are like, maybe not.
Yeah, we were like, the wings or alcohol? Which one? Not both.
maybe we should have some beers.
Yeah.
But I actually got to play him once in the beta.
Oh, nice.
It was funny.
Nice.
It lasted like 5 seconds. I lost the match immediately as soon as we joined in. And I was like, well, that was that.
That was fun.
I was gonna say,
point.
I'm surprised I've never matched you in anything, Mana. But then I remember last week that Hovey told me, we were talking about skill-based matchmaking, and he told me I'll never match good players because I'm bad.
Ooh.
So
Wow.
Shut down.
Yeah, it was painful.
Savagery.
What does that have to do with mana?
Oh. Ram, after that comment, you are welcome back anytime you want.
I'm hurt. I quit.
No, the only other thing I think in the TWAB, for anybody who may be a clan leader or get on your clan leader's case about it, they have some information about migrating your clan over to Destiny 2, what you need to do to keep the name, all that good stuff. So that's something worth checking out, I think. Just throwing that out there. Claw.
And we definitely
tag Claw
we
Rezo.
definitely all let Claw
we
know.
might have to let
I
Claw
can't believe
know.
Bungie actually responded.
I know, that was amazing. That was really funny. And he really was
so
like,
funny.
he works nights. So he was legitimately asleep that whole entire time and woke up to that. That was great.
With a million
great, too.
notifications.
Kimmy was like, "Oh no!" As soon as Bungie tweeted out, and we were all tagged in that, she was like, "Crap, my notifications."
Yeah, I
Claw
mean,
is gonna kill us.
it would have been one thing if it was Deej or Cosmo, but it was like
The Bungie
Bungie.
account.
The Bungie account,
Like-
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was awesome. So yeah, if you're a clan leader, get on it. Just like we all, and if you're a clan member, get on your clan leader, just like we all did Claw. It was hard to say clan and Claw so close together there for some reason.
Clan Claw.
But yeah, eventually we figured it out, and we let KJ Hovey know, what to do because he's the real leader of
He's the real
Resolute.
leader of
So,
Resolute. No, I
we
take that
fig- we
back.
figured
I
it
will
out.
never say that again.
uh,
Love you,
But
So,
if
Kadena.
yeah.
Hope even a 1v1, he gets kicked out, and you're able to join Resolute. Also me,
Oh my
apparently.
that's
and
how
I've
it
been
works.
kicked out of FaZe, apparently, as well.
Oh,
And if you montage us as well, you also get a spot in Resolute, just so everyone knows.
yeah.
Oh
All you
my
have to do is
God.
know what Resolute is, and you get in.
Yeah. Everyone's
And
in
send
already. You're not
Send a
special.
PSN message that says "Tell Hovey hi," and you're in. Well, thank you for joining us for this episode of REZOcast, episode 44. It's been great having the Managator here again with us, and
Hey.
Hove, and also Ramblinnn. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Lego, aka Legole Flash. You can find me at Legole Flash on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. Ramblinnn, where can they find you, man?
Twitch is the place to be. 3 N's, Ramblinnn, RAMBLINNN.
NNN. I like that.
Mhm.
Hove, where can they find you, man?
My house, mostly, playing games. Is that not the answer you wanted?
That's not what I'm going for.
Twitter at Hove76, twitch.tv/Hove76, and I don't know, maybe on YouTube at some point, Hove76. Mana.
Oh, I have a YouTube as well, but mainly Twitch,
But
Twitter, TheManagator, and if you want to creep on my YouTube, maybe subscribe.
Do it.
There might be future content one day.
There won't be, though, because shoulder charge has been nerfed.
It's like Managator. There might be a dash in there between the couple. I'm not sure what my own things are, but you'll find me eventually.
Well, y'all be sure to go check out Ramblinnn. His stuff is amazing, and every time we watch him play, we're just like, what is going on? Especially at GC when he was killing so many people, but I felt like they were never the camera was never actually on him whenever he was getting all those double kills and stuff. But it was awesome watching you in the tournament, man, with Team Casual. That was great. Hove, where can they find more about Resolute at?
Also on Twitter at Team Resolute, and I've been saying this for months, but I swear there's going to be an update at teamresolute.com. It's coming at some point.
One day.
Just keep trying.
Eventually.
I keep being told that it's going to happen, so.
Well,
ask KJ Hovey, he's the leader.
Yeah, just bug him about it. This has been REZOcast episode 44. That's all for this week. GG, guys.
GG.
Bye.
Bye. Love you. Okay, you can end your Audacity, and then I'm going to send everybody in stream to go see people.